This time on the Highland Woodworker, we're calling it a hybrid workshop. A closer look at how these instrument makers are combining high-tech and precision hand and power tools to build these great-looking guitars.
And that's just from years of rain running down the vertical grain.
Plus, Fine Woodworking Magazine's John Tetreault has the finer points of making a reclaimed wood project come together. So you built this door?
This is one of our doors, yeah. And
I thought it was 150 years old.
Good.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Then spend a moment with master furniture maker Robert Johnson, a third-generation craftsman whose work is so impressive he became an icon on Main Street in Memphis, Tennessee. These stories and more this time on the Highland Woodworker. Hello, I'm Charles Brock, and I'm a Highland Woodworker. I just love coming to Highland Woodworking in Atlanta, Georgia. It's where I get all my fine woodworking tools and a great woodworking education.
Hey Chuck, how's it going?
Hello, Ed Sit. Ed, you know, it's hard for a woodworker to cut a straight line with a dovetail saw. And I haven't acquired the knack yet. Is there something that can help me that you have?
I think we have a guide by David Barron, and it's going to allow you to keep that saw right on the line. It's a dovetail saw guide, and it's going to make life a lot easier for you.
That's wonderful. I need all the help I can get. But first, we're in Bell Buckle, Tennessee, the home of Waldron Music, and there are some beautiful guitars that are made here. Let's go inside and see how they make them in a hybrid shop. Eric Waldron.
Hey, how are you?
This is a beautiful collection of guitars that you and your family have made.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Oh, they're just fabulous. And I understand in this modern professional hybrid shop that you use hand tools and use stationary power equipment, CNCs, and all kinds of technology.
Even lasers to bring about the best instrument we can possibly make.
Here's a beautiful mahogany guitar body, and it has this wonderful rosette here. Can you show me how you make the rosette?
I'd be happy to do that. I'll decide what type of instrument it is that I'm going to be building, because it'll make a big difference in the actual size of the rosette. And I'll put it in a certain location using a template that we created ourselves. We then take the piece of material and we'll use what's known as a rosette cutter. I've already pre-formed it, but normally we'll take the template and we'll place it in such a way where the blades cut to the outside of our sound hole. And once I have it adjusted where I want it, I'll give consideration to the thickness of the material. Move the material around just to make sure that I have an even cut in depth, because the table's not absolutely flat. Then I'll come back in order to create the converse, and I'll move the blades so that it will cut to the outside with one of the two blades and inside for the pocket that I've created, so that I am creating a converse piece of material to fill the area. So now this ring should fit inside of this one based on its size. So what I'm going to do now is basically drop it into a sander, sand off the top so that the ring separates. And we're going to take the rosette ring, place it into the pocket that we've created, and I'm going to use some accent pieces to help to contrast the colors between the two different types of wood that I've used. The first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and put glue. the top of the instrument being this way, sometimes I'll slice the top of my rosette just to help create spacing so I can shift and move around.
So that just fits right in.
It sure does. And I'll push the inside. And that slice in the top helps because I can move my piece of material as needed. Then I'll work all the way around just to make sure everything is seated well.
How long does it have to dry?
If I have a choice on timing, if I'm not in a rush, I normally would like to leave it a few hours, but if you're pushed, then a few moments doesn't have any negative effect. Usually about 15 minutes or so will help it set or set up. Then I'll run it right through the sander. Using our template, I make sure that it's going to cut exactly where I need for it to, based on the pattern that I've chosen. I'll cut about halfway
flip it
through
over.
it.
I figured that's what you did. Yeah.
We flip it over for the same reasons that we made the rosette insert the same way, so it doesn't tear out or chip out the back. So you go halfway in the middle. You've got the end product. As we're building the guitar and we have bracing that holds the front and the back, or the top and the back rather, what we're attempting to do is create reverberation inside of the guitar. So the bracing that we put in most cases is too stiff for the guitar to have the type of flex that it needs. And so we take the bracing and we craft it in such a way where it allows the top and the back to move as the strings are strung on the guitar. That being said, what I'm going to attempt to do is bring down the height of this bracing. And knowing that you're a woodworker, I thought maybe it'd be a good opportunity for you to lay hands on a guitar and see what you think about it.
I'm up for it. Let's see what happens.
All right. Well, I'll say that in most cases what we're trying to do is take a sharp chisel and scallop down the side of our bracing, and so that it tapers in such a way that when we join the top and the back to the sides of the guitar, it reduces the material enough that we can bond it from the sides to the back. Exactly like that. Great job.
Well, thank you. This is fun. You know, I think making a guitar is probably on many woodworkers' bucket list. Well, I'm ready for some CNC and some laser.
Well, that sounds great. Let's go see my dad, and he can walk us through all the ideas that go along with it.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes, sir, Chuck.
this looks like a laser show.
Yeah, it's what
Tell
it
us
is.
about
It is a laser show. Let me open it up and show you. The laser actually is working off of XYZ coordinates. So this is the head, and it moves back and forth very fast, back and forth this way. And it's got a mirror in it and a lens. So it comes from the rear of the machine, comes to a 45-degree mirror, comes down to here, and it hits another 45-degree mirror to a lens which forces the light to go straight down. We have designed a template with CAD.
Okay.
And then what we've done, we've taken the CAD drawing and transferred it to a file that the laser can use. and then once we've got the file, the laser begins to cut it. The way we've designed the program, it'll do all the text first, and then it'll come back and it'll do what they call the vector cuts. It'll actually literally cut it out. So you've got your text, and you can put any kind of text you want on it, and then you literally cut out whatever you want to cut out.
And so all the information you need is here.
Correct. So where all you'll do is place it on whatever you want and trace over it.
Now this was all done by hand before. The back and the front
Correct.
of an F5 mandolin.
Correct.
Yeah, and so in order to be able to get that arched top that you want or arched bottom, now you can do it with CNC.
Correct.
How's that done?
You have to draw it first with CAD, and you're using a 3D type program, and it allows us to do all kinds of shaping and forming. And a lot of these curves are mathematical, so when you get to drawing them, the curve will only work certain ways.
Well, the curves are different in different
Correct.
places.
Different instruments, and then they have recurve too, which means it comes back up. So the top in reality will actually be a little thinner right here, and that allows that top to vibrate.
So it's going to choose a tool.
It's choosing a tool. In the software, we have to actually select the tool. That's a drill bit it's picked up.
Well, this is the end result, Kevin. Tell us what we've got here.
What we have is a carving that is done on the CNC. It's a BS model, 16-inch. And what we do sell these for is for people to use on their duplicarvers. And on their duplicarvers, this will speed up all the hand carving that they've been doing or chiseling they've been doing. And it adds just huge amounts of time for them.
Well, that's wonderful. I just love the way you've used
thank you.
hand tools, new technology and power tools to create guitars and tools for other luthiers. Thank you.
Thank you.
These are the dovetail saw guides by David Barron, made from anodized aluminum. And they have a magnet in it. That's the genius of it, that allows the saw blade to stay up against the guide when you make the cut.
Well, that's nice. And I wondered how they managed to keep you from just sticking to the magnet. This is some slick material
Yeah,
here.
it's like the little thin membrane that's super slick. So the blade stays up against it, but moves pretty effortlessly as you saw back and forth.
And looks like some sandpaper's attached here, so it will
You
hold.
can just hold it, yep, just hold it and it stays in place. It comes in a range of different ratio cuts for hardwoods to softwoods, from 1 to 4 all the way to 1 to 8, and also a 45 degree, a 90 degree, and then there's a unique dovetail spline as well for reinforcing 45 degree miters with small little splines.
That sounds great. I'm going to take this home with me and I'm going to try it in the shop and see if it improves my dovetails. Coming up, Fine Woodworking's John Tetreault has some conventional joinery tips when working with unconventional wood types.
My parents wanted me to go to college, so I appeased them.
He was lured into marine biology in college, but the tide would eventually bring him back to woodworking. A moment with master furniture maker Robert Johnson. You're watching the Highland Woodworker.
I'm just an average, down-to-earth woodworker. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a 5. But one place I score a perfect 10 is right here, and I plan on keeping all 10. That's why I have a saw-stop table saw. And there's more. Plenty of power, superior dust collection, and absolute accuracy. These features have made it the best-selling cabinet saw in America. Let Highland Woodworking help you put a saw stop in your shop.
Woodpeckers, makers of fine woodworking tools like router tables, precision router lifts and fences, plus measuring and layout tools including squares, ovals, triangles, and more. We offer unique clamps like box clamps, the knuckle clamp, and X-mat system. Our one-time tool program offers woodworkers innovative new tools. Woodpecker's precision tools are made and tested using state-of-the-art equipment. Woodworking tools from Woodpeckers. Tools you can trust for generations to come.
Introducing the ultimate flush trim router bit by Whiteside. Get CNC quality cuts from your patterns every time. Whiteside, industrial grade and American made.
What is quality? Is it quick? Forgettable? Easy? No, it isn't quick or easy. It isn't forgettable. Quality takes work. It takes time. Quality lasts, and it starts at Bell Forest, a leading global supplier of figured and exotic woods. Order online at bellforestproducts.com.
Woodworkers count on American-made forest saw blades for smooth, quiet cuts every time, without splintering, scratching, or tear-outs. The famous Woodworker 2 is the all-purpose combination blade. But for special cuts, Woodworker 2s are available for cutting dovetails, for flat-bottom joinery. A 30-tooth blade is perfect for ripping, a 48-tooth blade for superior cross-cuts, and a finger joint blade set. There is a perfect Forest Woodworker 2 for every table saw cut. Highland Woodworking has been a leader in woodworking education for more than 30 years. They offer all kinds of woodworking classes year-round, ranging from how to hand-cut dovetails and mortises to how to sharpen a plane or a chisel, how to build a cabinet, a chair, or a bookcase, or how to turn a wooden bowl. There are classes on wood finishing, French polishing, and even antique furniture restoration. For a list of upcoming classes that may interest you, just look in their catalog or go to highlandwoodworking.com. John, this is such a beautiful cabinet. I love the reclaimed wood and the way you worked it from the rough texture out to just a beautiful finish.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, one of the things I really enjoy about working with the reclaimed wood is you really get the story of the wood visually. Without even saying anything, you can see that this had a lot of time spent creating that undulating finish.
It's weathered.
Yeah, these were barn boards, and that's just from years of rain running down the vertical grain. And you can still see some of these kind of horizontal lines that are the original saw marks. So those were a little bit proud of that surface, and just wearing away, you get that the two lines working together.
Yeah, what a great surface. Now, I know the joinery has got to be difficult because you've got dovetails and you've got some tenons here for shelves and so forth, because this is not a great surface to register off of or to reference.
Right.
Tell me how you do that.
Well, that's another joy in working with the old wood is it's a little bit of a challenge. And that, for me, is the fun part of kind of problem solving and figuring out ways to work around it. So you can still, keep this exterior just simply by creating some reference surfaces to be able to cut square joints. So, for example, this would be the back edge that you won't see. It'd be against the wall. You just make sure you have a nice straight back edge, joint that, and then you can use that against your against your fence to cut a 90-degree angle on the other end, and then you have a square back edge where you can then lay out and cut your joinery.
So you're creating your reference points.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And it works the same way with, this example is the pins for the top of this cabinet here. Another example would be, this is the shelf inside, where you can see where you keep this surface here, just with a rabbet plane, took off that outside patina, and then you can cut tenons. And same thing on the underside. So you're having a consistent thickness, but leaving the patina on both sides.
And you do that by hand?
Yep, and it's really just a couple of swipes, because you're not really getting it down to to remove a lot of material. You're just removing a 32nd or a 16th of material just to get a flat surface.
And so you have housing for the shelf and the tenons here.
Yep, yeah, you can see how this would just fit right in there. And
nice. They stand proud, and you can see them.
yep, this will actually, once that's socked in there tight, that'll stand proud about 1/4 of an inch, and you can see on the other cabinet, I'll just chamfer those tenons so you don't have to be planing anything smooth with the outside.
Yeah. Well, that's so nice.
So working with this reclaimed wood, a lot of it comes down to just creating flat square surfaces to cut the joints in. So one of the easiest tricks is just take a little scrap of wood. Really, I made this into a square so I can just line it up for doing this often. But any just block of wood that you can use for a straight edge. After you have your back edge jointed, you can cut a 90-degree end on your board. And then I'll just set the marking gauge to the thickness of the board we'll be joining it to. Scribe a line here. Pretty good.
So you can proceed to do whatever joinery you need to do from a surface like that.
Yeah, so now you have a square back edge, and this is flat, where you can now lay out your dovetails. If you're joining this as a top of a cabinet or something, you would just from here lay it out and cut your joints the same way.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, great.
That's exciting. I'm gonna go out and take down a barn. Coming up.
Here's a square mortise.
We're going door to door with master furniture maker Robert Johnson. You're watching the Highland Woodworker. Highland Woodworking stocks a wide selection of Rikon power tools, known for their innovative design and rugged durability. Highland has sold thousands of Rikon's industry-leading bandsaws with sizes to fit every woodworking need, from the compact, affordable 10-inch model to competitively priced 14 and 18-inch models. Shop us also for Rikon's reliable planers, lathes, and professional low-speed grinder, all with an exceptional 5-year warranty. Rikon Power Tools.
For 35 years, Lee has manufactured the world's best joinery jigs. From our award-winning dovetail jigs and mortise and tenon jigs, to newer innovations like router table jigs. Easily add strong, beautiful joinery to your woodworking pieces, like half-blind dovetails, box joints, mortise and tenon joints, and through dovetails. Lee, simply the easiest and most versatile router joinery jigs.
Are your tools Tormek sharp? Tormek, consistent, reliable, and razor sharp. Tormek, sharpening innovation.
If you can't make it to Highland Woodworking in Atlanta, Georgia, you can shop online at highlandwoodworking.com. They're great at getting what you want to your shop quick. Moment with the Master is brought to you by Woodpeckers. From contemporary to traditional furniture, Robert Johnson does it all. With more than 40 years experience in creating and conserving, he is the go-to master woodworker in Memphis, Tennessee and beyond. Memphis, Tennessee is known all around the world as the birthplace of rock and roll and the home of the blues. But on this sunny day, we thought a little bluegrass music would be good for the soul.
Oh, waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Spend any time with notable furniture maker Robert Johnson, and you will find that he can handle a banjo with the same authority as any woodworking tool. Robert started working wood early in life, and 4 decades later he has built quite a business. He has been commissioned to research, develop, and execute many different styles of furniture, and it's all done right here in this spacious workshop.
I just grew up around it, so I didn't really have a choice. It was more that it picked me. Both my grandfathers, my mother's father and my father's father, were both woodworkers. Both had shops, and so earliest memory was a pile of sawdust and some odd-shaped blocks. You know, spent many, many hours on the outfeed of a table saw or the planer, catching boards.
Well, so they're all supportive of your efforts. Did they set you down and give you some little jobs to do?
We had plenty jobs, but it was at the early part. It was more of a weak mind and a strong back. I mean, I was there to work, and they could get an odd job out of me. They put me to it.
Well, I understand this is a very special piece.
As a matter of fact, it is. It's my first piece. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And I needed something for Christmas for my father. So I found an old chair leg and put this together for him and painted it. And it's still together, still works, holds all our screwdrivers, and I'm actually very proud of it.
So you headed from this environment into biology, marine biology?
I tried to break out. My parents wanted me to go to college, so I appeased them. Liked to fish, so I decided marine biology would be good for me. So I did, went through school, got the bachelor's degree, worked in the Gulf of Mexico for 2 years, and then in Alaska in the Bering Sea for 2 years as a biologist. But when I moved back to Tennessee, I just picked up where I left off and started with furniture and doing carpentry work, and then got a shop. And I feel at home here. It's not a hobby, it's a profession. We've done it a long time.
Robert Johnson and his work are a big deal in the South Main Arts District. He is one of the artists who has made a lasting impact on this community and across America. Tell us about your work.
Well, we like to think we can do a lot of different styles, and we certainly spend a lot of time researching if it's a table, a federal table. But we do architectural pieces, doors, mantels, but then we also do chairs and beds and residential type pieces.
You employ a number of artisans.
I do. I've been very lucky in that respect. I've had some really top-notch European craftsmen come through here that had gone through the guild system, the journeyman and the master level. And so they brought so much to our business, and just being around them just by osmosis, you pick up. And there's a certain rhythm when you have several people and everybody's really on, and there's certain days when you can just feel the rhythm and everybody's in that groove and moment, that it's a good thing. This is our reclaimed cypress, and it's already got some of the character marks.
So you built this door?
This is one of our doors, yeah. And
I thought it was 150 years old.
Good.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. It's got a through mortise. We peg those. you know, a door is a door. Depends on how you put your molding on and how many panels you put in.
And so
it.
this is just a different finish.
It's just a lighter finish. Same thing, cypress. It's got the, you know, the iron stained nail holes in it, some of the imperfections. Our doors start with just a very simple, time-honored system of a through mortise for our interior doors. And you make the frame first, your rails and stiles, and get those joined together.
Do you mortise them all by hand, or have you got some special?
I've got something special. You're going to want one of these. It's a Maka machine, M-A-K, made in Germany. We spent a lot of time hand mortising, and then we got the Maka, and it was all over. It cuts, it oscillates as it comes into the wood. Here's a square mortise.
That is amazing.
It's done. So if you've got 8 doors, that's 64 mortises. You can do it in less than an hour.
All right, so you have a through mortise, and you actually wedge them.
We do. We cut that tenon and then drive 2 glued wedges in there, and it keeps the pressure. You can immediately take the clamps off, lay the door down, stack it level, and move on to the next one.
Well, Robert, it's not just classical, traditional furniture that you do. You've got this interesting contemporary piece you're working on.
We found these Clara walnut slabs. They're book matched. They've got a lot of fiddle grain to them. And we brought it in, made a mock-up for the base and made it so it's a little adjustable and we can get our proportions just right. And this was kind of where we are. I believe we can start cutting wood on this one.
Well, I notice you've got it sitting on a trash can at this end.
Exactly.
Because this little mock-up base would not hold it.
No, absolutely not, and attached to the carving bench at the other. But it gave us the 30 inches from the floor height we needed, and then allowed us to change our proportions under here. And this is about the 3rd or 4th rendition of what we're going to be the final product. Let me just show you what the final is going to be, Chuck. This is just water, and you can see it's got that great fiddle.
Oh, it does. Just running all through.
All the way down.
Yeah, it's almost going to look like a hologram. You'll be able to look
Exactly.
down into it with.
And we're going to leave the crack down the middle, so when you walk in the room, it reads as 2 large, big, giant pieces of wood.
Yeah, that'll really speak. It really will. This is great. Music. Have you got any ideas about the role that music plays in your woodworking?
You have to focus 100%. It's like turning or carving. You really have to be in the moment. And as a musician yourself, you know that when you're on and you've got a performance, you have to be right there and keep up. I have a friend who's a concert violinist, head of the Omaha Symphony. She practices or rehearses 8 or 10 hours a day, which is exactly what we do here. You know, and then you deliver the piece of furniture and go play the show, but it's years and years and years of practice.
What are your specialties? What really makes Robert Johnson shine? I know it's a business, but there's also something that you really put your heart and your love into, and you love to see this kind of work coming. What would it be?
I like to carve. Because you've got all the design and all the light, and we get to use kind of the same tools and techniques that have been around for several hundred years. That being said, it's hard to be fast enough to do that. You have to stay ahead of that dollar. But what I really like to do is carve. I've kind of gotten over building the big pieces and the big tables and the big this and big that, and I prefer to spend a lot more time on something small.
What would you like your legacy to be as a woodworker and as a person?
It would be great if someone in 150 or 200 years picked up a piece of our furniture, turned it over, there was our name and the date, and they knew that it was made by, you know, a man's hands, and the joinery was correct, it was still together. I think that's the legacy, that it's still there. So I would get some comfort in knowing that's a possibility, and I believe it is.
Well, that's great. I'm using the David Barron Dovetail Guide, which helps me with my sawing. One of the problems in cutting hand-cut dovetails is sawing a straight line. And the recommended saw is the Gaiyukucho saw. The Gaiyukucho saw, like most Japanese saws, has very little set here, and it just cuts and tracks very straight on a pull stroke. It also is tall enough that, coupled with the guide here, will let you cut a 3/4 inch board without kind of bottoming out on the back of the saw. So these two are going to work very nicely when I cut my dovetails. To learn more, go to our tool tours at the top of thehighlandwoodworker.com. You can find out all you need to improve your dovetail. Improve your woodworking experience. Sign up for Wood News Online, a monthly newsletter showcasing the latest news, tips, and classes Highland Woodworking has to offer. By signing up, you'll receive the latest episode of the Highland Woodworker, special store promotions, and Wood News Online delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up today. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Follow us on our social media channels as well. And until next time, I'm Charles Brock, and I'm a Highland Woodworker.